Bryn, Den's mom, and I appreciate you watching the show today. If you're one of my returning viewers, welcome back. And if you're a new viewer, welcome. I hope you enjoy the show. I hope you find it fun. And hopefully in the next few weeks and months to come, we'll have a lot of fun together and you'll learn some things that are new maybe. So, it's been a very busy day for me. And I had some work to do today, and then after I got done with work, I needed to do some grocery shopping. So I ran around to a couple of stores, and I ended up at one of my favorite stores today. And I was very lucky. I got there before their samples were over, so I got to do some samples of some new products that had come out that I had not had a chance to taste yet. And I'm probably like most of you, I don't like buying something unless I've had a chance to at least taste it somewhere first, whether it's a friend's house or a store sample, because then at least I know I'm spending my money on something that I want and not something I'm going to end up wasting my money on. So I did try some samples. I did pick up a couple of new products that I really liked. And I was also a little concerned. There were quite a few people that were very rude to the servers, and they just didn't seem to understand that there's an etiquette about doing food samples. So what I found out in talking to some of the servers is that some of the people are regulars, of course, because they come to the store all the time, and they're very pleasant, most of them. But some of the people actually kind of come there to do what they call grazing. And grazing is when you just basically go from food station to food station to food station, and then you go back around and go from food station to food station to food station. First of all, it's a food sample. It's not supposed to be your lunch. And one of the things that I saw on a previous occasion, when I didn't really have a lot of time to do food samples, was some of the servers were just coming out and getting ready to set up their carts, and people were coming up to them and wanting to know if the food samples were ready. Okay, if you see somebody who's just setting up their food sample cart and they maybe have a microwave or a pot and it's not even plugged in yet, I can guarantee you that the food sample is not ready. They do usually have to cook it if you see a pot or a stove or an oven sitting on top of their food cart. And honestly, these poor people, I feel so bad for them. I know it's their job, but still. Folks, calm down. It's a food sample. It usually looks something like this. It's a little cracker with maybe some dip on it, or maybe it's just the cracker. Or maybe it's a piece of sausage that's probably about that big, or a piece of bread or cake or whatever. Whatever it is, it's a food sample. It's not made to order. If you think you might like it, pick it up and try it. If there is a tray of food samples sitting on the cart, ready for you to walk up and pick up from, do that. Walk up, pick up a sample, thank the person, and walk away. They are not your personal shrink. They don't want to know about your life, and they really don't have time to. Their job is to serve the food sample and tell you about the food sample, so you will buy the food sample. Their job is basically to sell you the product. I saw people today giving excuses as to why they couldn't buy the product after they had eaten it, which is fine. It's a food sample. You can eat it. But if for some reason you don't want to buy the product or you can't buy the product due to a health reason, well, if you can't buy the product due to a health reason, you probably shouldn't be sampling it in the first place. But if you can't buy a product due to a health reason, then just don't buy the product. You really don't have to make an excuse to the salesperson. Just taste your little sample and walk on, because that salesperson is now trying to sell that product to the next person. Also, folks, your children. Watch your children, especially if they have food allergies. I heard that there was a recent scare in a store where they were handing out food samples where a child that had a peanut allergy, and evidently the parent was with them, ate a product that had some kind of peanut in it, peanut oil or maybe some peanut pieces or something. But this child had a severe allergy to peanuts, and the parent was letting them eat the food samples, evidently without checking the allergies on the label. Now, here's the thing. If you ask the server what the contents of the product are, more than likely the server is going to know the main contents, but they're probably not going to know if it was cooked with peanut oil. And they may not know if it has peanuts in it. They see that item right before they bring it out to set it up on their cart to serve it to you as fast as they can serve it. So do yourself and that food server a favor. That child that ate that peanut, that item that had the peanut in it, almost died. I understand that there was a healthcare worker in the store that actually had an EpiPen that saved that child's life. Excuse me. And I lost my sign. Well, we'll just have to go without it for right now. But I understand that there was a food service worker, not a food service worker, I apologize, that there was a healthcare worker of some sort in the store that had an EpiPen that was able to save the child's life. Allergies can be very severe. Don't ask the server what is in the product. Pick up the package and read what's in the product. Find out for yourself, for your safety, for your child's safety, what is in the product. That food server should not be held responsible for yourself or your child eating something when they have severe allergies to things. You may not even want to be doing food samples because sometimes they may have sausage, but they may be frying the sausage in a little bit of oil that could be peanut oil. And they may not even think about it to tell you. So just be careful is what I'm saying. And don't blame somebody else. Not that I'm saying this person did. What I'm saying is be careful. Take responsibility for yourself and your children when you are out shopping for whatever the reason. So moving on. Be courteous to the food server. The food server is trying to fix those samples and get them out so you can taste them so they can make sales. Because honest to goodness, they want you to buy the product because they are actually reviewed on how their sales are. So they're not trying to keep you from trying the product. If they tell you that, if they have just taken a pot of ravioli out of a steaming pot of hot water, they need to let that ravioli cool for a minute or two before they can even start serving it to you. Because if they serve it to you and you stick it in your mouth and you burn yourself, then you're going to complain that you burnt yourself. But if you were standing there and saw it come out of the hot pot of steaming water, you probably should have known that it was really hot and you shouldn't stick it in your mouth right away. Now, I noticed a lot of the carts had signs on them when they were cooking that said hot. Just assume, whether it is or not, assume that the item is going to be very hot. So don't stick it all in your mouth at once. Taste it to see before you stick it in your mouth. Don't blame the server because you stuck hot food in your mouth. Okay, also, don't ask stupid questions. I'm sorry, but if the server is fixing a tray of food and there's a tray sitting there and the tray that's sitting there is empty because somebody just took the last sample off that tray and the server is trying to get another tray ready to sit out there, don't look over there. Don't walk around behind where the server's working and go, "Do you have more samples?" You're not going to starve if you have to wait 30 seconds or a minute or 2 minutes on a food sample. If you are that hungry, do yourself and everybody else a favor that you're being rude in front of and go to the front of the store or go to the food court and buy something to eat. Folks, I have never seen so many rude people. I was appalled. I could not believe some of the things I heard people say to these servers because the tray wasn't ready or because they wanted a bigger piece of food sample. I'm serious. I could not believe the lack of courtesy and the rudeness. And the servers get frustrated, and I understand why. If I had to serve food samples to some of you folks, some of the people that I saw there today, I would probably quit. I'm sorry. My throat got a little dry. I got on a rant, didn't I? That's because I was appalled today, as I told you already. Appalled. Now, I've told you, read the product info, especially if you have allergies. There's signs right on the front of those carts that says allergy. My goodness. This one really got me upset. I really don't think there's any reason for one human being to be rude and discourteous to another human being, especially when it comes to something so simple as a free food sample. Okay, so make sure I got all my notes down here. So just so we're clear, wait till they set their cart up and start serving the food samples. When it's ready, they'll put it on the tray and put it out for you to try it. Don't reach behind their area and try to grab it off the tray they're fixing. They have to follow health safety and food safety guidelines set forth by the health department and the company they work for. If you are sticking your hand in their food safe area where they're fixing food, they're going to have to throw away whole trays of samples because they can't serve it because you stuck your hand back there. Wait till the tray is set out, take your food sample. If you like it, buy the product. If you don't, walk on. Don't ask for bigger samples. If you want more, just take an extra sample. You're allowed to do that. You can take an extra sample, but taking 3, 4, 5, 6 samples and standing there like you're eating your lunch is rude, not only to the food server who's trying to serve these samples to other people to get her sales or his sales for the day, it's rude to the other people who are standing there and waiting to get a food sample. And if you see their people are waiting when you walk up to the cart and the person is fixing the food sample to put out there for those people to try, don't step in front of everybody who's waiting to get your sample because you're afraid it'll disappear. Really? I just can't believe how some people have not been taught to be courteous. And folks, your children, you're teaching them wrong. It is not okay for them to expect free food samples in a store. If they're there and they get them, that's fine. Just like it should be for you. But you should not teach them to expect food samples just because they see the carts. Again, it goes back to allergies. If your child is under a certain age, the server is not supposed to serve them a food sample without you, the parent, being there and saying that it is okay. So do not get upset with the server when your 6 or 7-year-old child goes up to a cart and wants a food sample and the server says, "I'm sorry, where's your parent? I have to have an okay." So the child comes to you to tell you that they couldn't get a food sample, and then you get upset and go to the server and want to know why they wouldn't give your child a food sample. Well, they wouldn't give your child a food sample because your child could have a severe allergy to peanuts or some kind of additive that's in the food. So do everybody a favor. Be courteous. Free food samples. Be courteous. Courteous to the server, courteous to the other people who are waiting to get a food sample. They're just samples, little teeny tiny 2-bite pieces of food. There is no reason in the world for anybody to be rude to somebody else over such a thing. So, as I said, and in my closing thoughts today, be courteous and be kind to others. There are more important things in life. And if you've never heard the saying before, I'm going to tell you one of my favorite sayings. Don't sweat the small stuff. You all have a good day and enjoy those food samples.